Hello, hello everybody. Daily News is back. Welcome to the Redmen TV. My name is Ben. Simon joins me.
Hello.
We've got a few interesting stories today to talk about,
Yep.
haven't we, Si? First of all, Matthijs Ligt looks set to join Barcelona. This has been reported by Sky Sports today, so you know it's probably pretty accurate. Obviously, there was interest from English clubs. I think Man United were linked with him. We were, but it's looking like he's going to go to Barcelona for around 65 million quid. 19, captain of Ajax. He's going to be a good buy for them.
He is, yeah. He was the kind of player that if Liverpool had ended up signing him, I would have got really excited about him. You can just see there was the videos of him because I think 100,000 people in the parade after Ajax had won the double, and he's the one, and he's like getting everyone singing all the Ajax songs and everything, and you're just like, that's a 19-year-old lad, and he's got the confidence to step on the pitch and do it, and then to stand in front of the fans and do it as well. You'd be a bit disappointed if you're an Ajax fan and he's leaving, would you? You know, especially considering he's a Dutch lad who's come through the ranks and he's kind of getting a better offer and he's going. But you can kind of understand it as well because he needs to be playing in a better league.
That's the model of their club, though, isn't it? That's they have this amazing academy and they bring players through. They're basically in it to make a profit. Obviously, it's a shame that Barcelona are getting in because they've got De Jong as well, who's obviously a really good player. You know, it's a shame that they're getting both. It would have been good to have Liverpool, and I think half the Liverpool links were based on Van Dijk being with us already.
I think there was some quotes from him saying, "Oh, it's great to play alongside Van Dijk," and he'd kind of done like a bit of a hint, like, "Who knows? Maybe I'll play with him for my club as well." But it's one of them. Barcelona have been the favourites for the whole time, I think, and
it's difficult to turn down Barcelona. No matter what state they're in, no matter what state Liverpool are in terms of, in a positive sense, I think it's difficult to turn down Barcelona at all times.
It'll make a big difference to their side as well.
Oh, absolutely,
like you can see,
that's where PK agent.
That's where the short. Like I know they've got some good players, Longley, TC, PK obviously getting older, but you're signing a player there that could end up being your captain for 10 years. He obviously won't be the captain going straight in, but he's obviously got those leadership qualities. So maybe when Messi ends up retiring, maybe he takes on that mantle and he could do anything he wanted.
They look like they're playing smart, Barca, with the way like Real Madrid have failed, where they've got rid of Ronaldo and the team's fallen apart. Barcelona, like with De Jong and with this one as well, are looking, Coutinho, Dembele. They're looking like they are building a bit more of a sustained future for themselves. So fair play to them. Ballon d'Or odds, interesting one. This Liverpool have three of the top four or four of the top five favourites for the Ballon d'Or. We've got Virgil van Dijk at 15-8, Sadio Mane 20-1, Mo Salah 20-1, Lionel Messi being the favourite at 4-7.
He'll
Messi's
probably
going to win it.
He is probably going to win it, and fair play to him. Fair play to him. He's had an amazing season, but to have the other three at the top four just shows what a side we are. That's just incredible. Who would have thought a few years ago that we would have ended up, and you're watching Ronaldo and Messi win these, and then you'd occasionally seeing maybe some Man City players or Hazard getting in the running every now and then. Now we've got three of the top four, and deservedly so as well. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo's been a great player at the top of his game for so long, and still had a great season for Juventus. And he's 25-1. And he's 25-1, and Virgil van Dijk 15-8, 20-1 for the others. It's just amazing.
It's mental, as you touched on there. Fancy having three in the top four, but also fancy us having a centre back who's second favourite. Do you think if we win the Champions League, do you think that really goes up a level then?
Well, I think there was quite a big argument that if we won the Champions League last year, then Salah would have won it. It's a massive thing, the Champions League, and quite often whoever wins it out of Real Madrid and Barcelona in the last few years have had Ronaldo or Messi ended up winning the Ballon d'Or. And then the fact that just at the rest of the list it goes Ronaldo, Sterling, Mbappe, Aguero, and then Alisson Becker's in there at 66-1. Again, we've got.
Couldn't have dreamt it.
By that it means we've got the best goalkeeper in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to massively depend on the Ballon d'Or. I think obviously Ronaldo's in there. It's funny because it's almost as if he's had a great career. He's had a great season, in Serie A. But I think obviously that move has probably hindered him in terms of his quest for this trophy because it's just not got the credibility as even La Liga. You know what I mean? But we'll move on. So Hertha Berlin are in talks to sign Marco Grujic for another year. There's a manager here a quote from the manager here that I'll read out in a second. I did film development watch today. It's coming out a little bit later on in the week where I talked about Marco Grujic's season. They've had he's had a great season at Hertha Berlin. He's had a few injury problems, but the manager basically called him the best Hertha midfielder for the last 20 years at one point this season, so they really like him there. And this time he said, I'll keep the ball rolling and our goal is to extend the loan by 1 year. We have a permanent exchange with Liverpool FC and I've had some personal talks with Jurgen Klopp over the past week about Marco. Liverpool will sit down after the Champions League finals to discuss the squad for next season, and we think Marco would do well for another season in Berlin to reach the level that Liverpool play. Marco himself would like to stay in. I cannot promise anything, only that I will try everything that the boy plays next year in Berlin. So you can tell there they really like him.
They look those quotes that came out a few months ago. You thought, wow, like he must have really made an impression there. It would make sense for him to stay there another year. He's obviously happy there. The fans and the manager are obviously happy with him there, and he's not going to be getting much of a look in our squad. I think I haven't seen any of what he's done for Hertha. Certainly, what he showed for Liverpool, he's shown that he's a talented player. I think he can offer something different in our squad, but whether he's going to get the game time that he probably wants and that he probably deserves, I just can't see it.
I don't think
the midfield played this season.
I think the way, it is that it's not only the way the midfielder played this season, but if Jimmy Milner stays on for another year, which I think he might now, you've got the way Oxlade-Chamberlain's coming back, but also you've got the way Keita stepping up, but you've also got the way Henderson stepped up as well, because you've suddenly got Henderson who can do both. He does want to be more of that attacking force, but he can sit deep. Grujic is basically going to be that type of player, but just not on that level at all. And I think he's just it's unlucky for him, because I think 2-3 years ago he would have had a better look in with the squad that we had then. But I think it's a testament and it's a compliment to us just how much of a world class squad that we've got. So yeah, interesting one for Marco Grujic, and as I say, look out for development watch later on this week, where I'm going to talk about all the loanees in depth and round up their season, what happens next for all of them. Moving on, we just touched on Naby Keita. He's been included in the training camp squad heading out to Marbella this week. Obviously, there's quite a big game of football coming up over the next couple of weeks for Liverpool, and they are heading out to prepare for that with a warm weather camp in Marbella. He's expected to be out for the rest of the season, to be honest. He's expected to be out for the Champions League final, but he's been taken out with the squad now. You did say, didn't you, that this is more likely to be...
James Pearce wrote on the Echo that it's probably Klopp wants him to be with the squad while he's getting fitter. I think it's a bit of a bonding thing, a bit so we can see what it's like, how Klopp wants to train for the biggest game of a lot of players' careers. And it makes sense to take Keita along with him, because what else would you? Why else wouldn't you? But they did say that he's ahead of schedule with his injury. So whether that means that when they initially said that he wouldn't be playing in the Cup of Nations, maybe that's false. Maybe he will end up going there. Maybe he'll be fit for the final. Yeah, I suppose.
I think I think the final sounds like a stretch, but from a personal point of view, he'll definitely be racing to get fit for the Cup of Nations. I think, because obviously that's a massive thing for them. I mean, I think in this country we don't really rate the Euros, really. I mean, I think some fans do.
But it's not, probably do. But I'm sure the players, every England player is desperate to go and play in these competitions. And so, considering Keita's such a figurehead for that side as well, they must love him in that country, because he's probably the biggest, the highest level footballer that they pretty much ever had. Yeah. So they'll be desperate for Keita to play in the Cup of Nations, and he'll be desperate to play for them.
So the full squad then for the training camp: Trent Alexander-Arnold, Alisson Becker, Ryan Brewster, Fabinho, Roberto Firmino, Joe Gomez. Firmino's going to be doing full training, by the way, which is really positive. Joe Gomez, Jordan Henderson, Curtis Jones, Naby Keita, Kerman Kelair, Adam Lallana, Dejan Lovren, Sadio Mane, Joel Matip, Simon Mignolet, James Milner, Alberto Moreno, Divock Origi, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Andy Robertson, Mo Salah, Xherdan Shaqiri, Daniel Sturridge, Virgil van Dijk, Gini Wijnaldum, Ben Woodburn. Real challenge there to remember the first names, even though they're not written down. Brewster going is a good thing for me. Obviously, the more he is in and around the squad, the better for him.
Again, it's the experience that going away with these players as they prepare for such a big game gives you. It's like it. Obviously, he's been training with the team for a lot of the season, but when he's been fit and he's been watching the team training and stuff, he's been going on the trips with them even when he was injured. But going and preparing for a game of this magnitude must just take it to another level. These experiences that he's getting, that he can take it to next season when hopefully he'll be playing a fair bit more footy than he has done this year. can only be a good thing.
And with the new rule that's coming today of Paul Joyce broke in the Times earlier today that basically there's been a rule change with the UEFA where you can name 12 substitutions in the Champions League final, and just wanted to link that to that because if he can be in the match,
not substitutions.
Substitutes. You can still make 3, but you've got 12 to choose from. But building on that, if Brewster can be in the match day squad for the Champions League final, where the squad travel together, he does the warm up, he sits on the bench. At 19 years old, that is a ridiculously good experience.
But also, as it's a good experience for him, it might actually give him a chance. Like look at the final last year. I was saying this to Chris then. Salah goes off injured, and we bring Lallana on. And then we're pretty much just we haven't got a clue. I'm not sure if we made 3 subs, but I know Emre Can came on with about 5 or 10 minutes ago, just because he was a player that we had on the bench, whereas we needed to bring attackers on, but we didn't have any. This year, the fact that we've got 12 subs allowed, it means that you can put a Brewster on the bench where he might not otherwise have been. It means you can maybe even Sturridge didn't make the bench for the first leg against Barcelona. So maybe these players who wouldn't have made the bench otherwise, who can actually make a difference. Seven subs.
They're unknown quantities, aren't they?
7 subs isn't enough to put everyone on your bench that you might need for every situation that happens in a game. So
you can also make an extra sub in extra time as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think this could really help us. I think if we had it last year, things probably wouldn't have been different, but certainly Klopp probably wouldn't have brought it.
I think it's funny that that's a really good point that somebody's made there. If you draw an extra time and you've got this capability of having 12 subs on the bench, you might just go, well, I've got an extra sub here, I'll just throw Brewster on, and then suddenly that's just a roll of the dice, and Tottenham are like, what?
Or maybe even someone like Lallana, who might not have been on the bench otherwise, who can be fresh legs in the midfield, who can get on the ball and grab a bit of control in the game. It just gives you more options in the game. Obviously, it works both ways. It gives Spurs more options as well. But yeah, I'd say it's a good move. I'm interested to see whether they're kind of testing it in finals, and it's something that they'll roll out across football. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens eventually.
Yeah. So final bit of news today. Gicano Hoover won the under-17 Euros with Netherlands to beat Italy 4-2 in the final. There were some really good goals, but the bit that we're going to focus on here is that he took the free kick that led to the second goal. He took this beautiful free kick at the post, came back out. Keeper's completely route to the spot. Really good for him. And again, we're talking about experiences for young players. Same happened with Brewster last year. England won the under-17s World Cup, having experience of winning things from a young age, just building up that hunger almost, to keep doing it at every level. Really good from our perspective.
Yeah, and that free kick's brilliant. You can find it on YouTube. Just go and have a look at the highlights from the game. It's a second goal to put them 2-0 up. And it's on the edge of the box, and he gets it. He dips it really nice. He gets it right up and over the wall. Puts it, as I say, it hits the right inside of the post. If it's 1 inch to the right, it's a perfect free kick, and you're thinking, wow, that's another talent that he's got. And even the fact that he's a centre back. I know he might end up playing right back for Liverpool a bit, but he's a defender anyway. And he's the one that they're trusting to take the free kicks in an obviously talented side if they're going and winning the competition. It shows that he's a lot more than a defender. Again, it's a good experience for him. He's obviously coming through with quite a lot of good young players in Holland at the minute. Obviously, we spoke about the Ligt before. Yeah,
top stuff.
Yeah, fair play to him. I'm looking forward to seeing him a bit more.
Any comments, Tom? Yeah.
Etham Ul Hassan give us a blue super chat and says, "How are you feeling about the final?"
I don't want to say. I'm quietly confident, but
I'm confident. I started thinking about it this weekend. I hadn't really gave it too much thought. I kind of took a week away from really thinking too much about football after the end of the Premier League. But now I've started thinking about the final. The nerves have started kicking in, and I think we've got to win it.
We've got to. I think my confidence comes from we are just such a difficult side to beat. Obviously we've drawn a few this season, but we've only lost 1 in the Premier League. To actually score more than 1 goal against us is a very difficult task. Like I said, that's it. We're just difficult to beat. To if it goes to extra time and penalties and we lose from there, that's a different story. But over 90 minutes, for Tottenham to beat us.
But we're great at scoring as well.
Exactly,
I think with the final, what it is, and we're obviously going to be doing a lot more build-up towards the final over the next couple of weeks. You've got some really exciting stuff coming up, actually. Filmed something brilliant today, which is going to go out on Thursday. But we got over the final last year because you can put it. We didn't expect to be there, and Real Madrid was so much more experienced. You can put down the losing the league to Man City, scored 98 points. That's fine. That's hard to beat. But it'd really hurt if we lost the final against Tottenham in a couple of weeks, and I really hope really hope we don't, and I really hope we do, because it'll be brilliant to win number 6.
Last comment, DXSH Tempers says, is there still a glimmer of hope for Fekir in your opinion, or is there more chance for Dybala? Love the vids.
Forgotten about him.
I can't see us signing either of them.
No, I don't think
Fekir failed the medical. The club don't trust his body. They've examined his body and thought, no, this is a risk that's not worth taking. In terms of Dybala, I just don't think he's the type of player that we go for.
No, I think he's a luxury player. I think with Fekir, unless we're going to really get him on the cheap, like I'm talking 20 mil, I don't think we'll take a punt on him. I don't think we will.
And by the looks of the way Leon were negotiating last year, I just can't see that happening.
Anyway, there you go, everybody. That's been today's news. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Whatever comes up, I'm sure it will be an interesting summer with transfers and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for joining me, Si. You've been watching Daily News on the Redmen TV. We'll see you tomorrow.